and the shadow that followed me. I don't even know how to begin this story without sounding insane, but I swear on everything I love that it happened. Even now, years later, I wake up sweating in the middle of the night, the memory pressing on my chest like a heavy weight. People don't believe me when I try to tell them. They think I'm exaggerating, or that maybe I had one drink too many that night. But I know what I saw. I know what I felt. And if I could erase that night from my life, I would. It started on what should have been just another late evening drive home. I had stayed longer than usual at work, grinding away at meaningless paperwork until my brain felt numb. When I finally left, the world outside was wrapped in darkness. It wasn't the soft, star-filled darkness of a summer night either. It was the suffocating kind, where clouds covered the moon, and even the air seemed thicker, heavier, like a blanket of dread had been pulled over everything. I slid into my car, the familiar squeak of the door greeting me. The engine turned over with a low growl, and I felt a strange comfort in the mechanical sound. The parking lot was empty, except for a few distant lampposts that flickered more than they glowed, throwing weak patches of yellow light across the cracked asphalt. The first few miles were uneventful, just the steady hum of the tires against the road and the faint buzz of the radio in the background. But then I hit the long stretch of highway that cut through the countryside, a road I usually liked for its quiet isolation. That night, though, the silence felt oppressive. The darkness on either side of the road was absolute, broken only by the sweep of my headlights. That's when I noticed something. At first, it was just a flicker in my rearview mirror, like a shadow darting out of the corner of my eye. I shook it off, telling myself it was fatigue. But then it appeared again, a vague shape, low to the ground, almost crawling, illuminated for just a split second before vanishing. My stomach tightened. I slowed a little, telling myself maybe it was just an animal, a stray dog, a coyote, something ordinary. But the longer I drove, the more it became clear this wasn't an animal. Whatever it was following me. I pressed harder on the gas, the engine roaring louder, but every time I checked the mirror, I'd see it again, always just at the edge of the light, always keeping pace. I rolled down my window, hoping the cool night air would clear my head. That's when I heard it, a sound I'll never forget. It wasn't the wind, and it wasn't the tires. It was a low, guttural scraping, like claws dragging along metal, except there was no car beside me. The noise seemed to seep into the cabin, vibrating against my bones. Panic set in. My hands gripped the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. I wanted to stop, to turn around, to do anything other than keep driving down that empty stretch of road. But something in me knew stopping would be a mistake. The scraping grew louder. I glanced out the window, and for the briefest moment I saw it. A face, pressed against the glass from the outside. It wasn't human. Its eyes were too large, glowing faintly in the darkness, and its mouth, its mouth stretched far too wide, filled with teeth that looked more like shards of broken glass than anything natural. And then it was gone, just like that. I nearly swerved off the road. My breath came in shallow gasps, and I could hear my heartbeat thundering in my ears. I forced myself to keep going, my eyes darting from side to side, my brain screaming at me to stay alert. Minutes passed like hours. The road stretched endlessly, the yellow lines blurring under my headlights. I thought maybe I had lost it. Maybe whatever that thing was had slipped away into the night. But then I saw something up ahead. A shopping cart, just sitting in the middle of the road. I slammed on the brakes, my seatbelt digging painfully into my chest as the car screeched to a halt. The cart wobbled slightly, as if it had just been placed there. My headlights lit it up perfectly. Shiny metal frame, one broken wheel bent at an awkward angle, empty, but somehow menacing. I stared at it, my breath fogging the windshield. What the hell was a shopping cart doing out here, in the middle of nowhere? There were no stores, no houses, nothing for miles. That's when I heard the sound again. The scraping. Only this time, it wasn't behind me. It was above me. Slowly, terrified of what I might see, I tilted my head back to look through the windshield. There it was, clinging to the roof of my car like a spider, its face inches from the glass, its eyes bored into mine unblinking, and I felt like it was looking straight into my soul. My body froze. I couldn't move, couldn't scream. I could only sit there as those jagged teeth parted into a grin. Then, with a sudden violent motion, it slammed its hand, if you could call it a hand, against the windshield. Long, bony fingers with claw-like nails scraped down the glass, leaving deep white marks that didn't fade. The sound was deafening, like nails on a chalkboard amplified 100 times. That broke me. I slammed the car into reverse, tires squealing as I backed up, narrowly missing the cart. The creature held on for a moment, its body twisting unnaturally, before it finally let. I whipped the car around and sped down the highway, adrenaline flooding every inch of me. The road seemed endless, the darkness thicker than ever. But I kept going. I didn't care if I blew out the engine. I just needed to get away. But the worst part? I could still hear it. Even over the roar of the engine, even with the window shut tight, I could hear that scraping, following me. It wasn't until I reached the outskirts of the city, where the streetlights finally returned, that the sound stopped. Just like that. 1 second it was there, gnawing at my sanity, and the next it was gone. I pulled into a gas station, shaking so badly that I could barely put the car in park. The attendant looked funny at me as I stumbled inside, pale and sweating, but I didn't care. I just needed to be around people, around light, around something normal. When I finally worked up the courage to go back out, I noticed something that made my blood run cold. On the roof of my car, etched deep into the paint, were 3 long claw marks. I never drove that stretch of road again, and I never will. I've been a trucker most of my life. Long haul, cross-state, nights where the road feels endless, and the only company you've got is the hum of the engine and the distant stars. You get used to the solitude, the monotony. You even start to like it. But every once in a while, something happens that makes you wish you'd never taken the job in the first place. This was one of those nights. I was on the tail end of a delivery run. The highway cut through desert for miles. No towns, no gas stations, not even a rest stop worth the name. Just asphalt, dust, and silence. It was a little after 2 in the morning when I noticed headlights in my mirror. An SUV. Dark, no logos, no distinguishing features. Just hovering back there, a good distance behind. At first, I thought nothing of it. Highways aren't private. But as the minutes dragged on, I noticed it was always there. Too far to be tailgating, too close to be random. Every time I sped up, it sped up. Every time I slowed, it slowed. For 40 miles, it shadowed me. I told myself it was coincidence. Maybe the driver was nervous about passing a big rig. Maybe they were lost. But deep down, I knew something wasn't right. Finally, I pulled into a small roadside rest area. Nothing more than a dirt lot and a flickering bulb over a couple of dead vending machines. I figured if I stopped, they'd keep going. Instead, the SUV pulled in too. I felt my blood boil. Enough was enough. I swung down from the cab and stomped toward the SUV.